So I don't think Daniel Jones sucks. However, he's not good. And I found a video that pretty much sums up what the fans have been saying about Daniel Jones, the fans that don't like him. This is a great video. I'll tag the person that created the video, but stay with me.
Was Daniel Jones awful last night? No, but he left a ton of explosive plays on the board against the Cowboys that, had they been hit, they probably end up winning this game. Let's start with this first play here early on in the game. The Giants line up in shotgun. We've got trips to the left side. And Dable gets the exact look he wants into this play call. He's got Malik Neighbors here on a double move with Andrew Booth manned up in coverage against him and only one high safety. And we've all seen the clip by now. Neighbors gives this man the nastiest double move of his life. Booth is 5 yards behind him, and it's a big completion for the Giants. Why am I complaining about it then? Well, I want you to watch where the safety is as Neighbors is clearing his guy. The safety is still in the middle of the field. Now, he is reading Daniel Jones' eyes and moving that way, but there's a ton of open space here for Malik Neighbors. All DJ's got to do is hit this man in stride down the field. I can almost guarantee you with this much space, it's a touchdown. This is a touchdown play. Instead, watch Neighbors here. He looks like an outfielder trying to catch a pop fly, man. This is a very, very safe throw by DJ. Yes, I know it's a completion, but it should have been a touchdown. I really dislike this throw. This is, in my opinion, the most egregious deep miss of the night. The Cowboys mug up the line of scrimmage, but they only bring 4, and this turns into Tampa 2. And Dable calls a fantastic cover 2 beater where we've got Slayton here on a streak down the field and then the slot receiver here running a post. And let's watch this play unfold. Again, it works to perfection. This safety, instead of getting to his half, is going to bite down on this post, and because Diggs was playing the underneath flat or looking for something going into the underneath flat, Slayton comes wide open. And DJ proceeds to underthrow this guy by about 10 yards and it gets intercepted. However, it was a free play, so it didn't count. But a $160 million quarterback needs to make this throw, and it's once again another touchdown that's left on the table because Daniel Jones can't hit his deep shots. Now, this next throw is a harder throw, but again, $160 million quarterback needs to make it. The Giants have trips to the right side, and the Cowboys line up in cover 1 with a hole dropper, meaning there's man coverage across the board, one linebacker dropping in the middle of the field, and one high safety. What the Giants have dialed up here are double vertical routes here and a dig over the middle of the field by the tight end. DJ gets the matchup he likes. He's got Slayton here on the backup corner. And the coverage isn't awful, but I would say Slayton is open. Slayton is open right here. If this ball is out in front of Slayton, kind of towards the sideline, this ball should be completed. Instead, Daniel Jones once again underthrows him. And I get it. This is a tougher throw, but this is the throw that the good quarterbacks need to make. And this is the last play I'll talk about because this is one of the plays that people are criticizing Jones online for. And while yes, he deserves to be, he's being criticized for the wrong reasons. The play I'm talking about here is this deep post shot to Malik Neighbors down the field that is severely underthrown and should have been intercepted. And I'm going to criticize Daniel Jones not for the throw, but for the decision making, because that's the issue here. Cowboys mug up the line of scrimmage again, but this just ends up being cover 1. And as we've went over, cover 1 is man coverage across the board with one high safety. In Dable, this is going to be like the 3rd time I've said it, dials up the perfect play into this coverage. What's happening here is Malik Neighbors is running a deep post that is supposed to take this high safety with him, as we've got Slayton running a man-beating curl route that is going to be open and should have been thrown to. So as we'll see, ball gets snapped. Watch as he beats his man as this safety starts running with Neighbors because he has a step on Diggs. This ball needs to be thrown to this guy. This is a big play waiting to happen. Instead, I know Neighbors has a step on Diggs, but the throw he's trying to make, maybe 2 quarterbacks on the planet can actually complete it. It's just one of those games that's just so obvious that Dable is making Jones look better than he actually is, and Jones is really holding this Giants team back. You just hope they don't fire Dable before he can find this franchise guy.
So I don't disagree with his breakdown of Daniel Jones, but I do want to talk about 2 things. Brian Dable is not making Daniel Jones look better than he actually is. Daniel Jones is who he is. He's always been good at short throws. He had 1 year in 2022. I don't even want to go back to 2019, but 2022, where he was 7th in deep ball throws. And a lot of fans who still believe in Daniel Jones, they want him to get back to that 2022 version of himself where he was 7th in deep balls. Sunday, he overthrew the wide receivers. On Thursday, he underthrew the wide receivers. I would say since training camp, he's been underthrowing the wide receivers. Like, that's what we saw at training camp. So at the end of the day, he just doesn't look like that 2022 version, which a lot of people didn't really think was that great. But you have to look at the wide receivers he had at the time. He has better wide receivers now, so he better figure it out if they're going to continue to start him. The second thing is, if we fire Brian Daboll, when I say we, I'm talking about the organization because I'm a fan. If the organization fires Brian Daboll, it's because the organization is dysfunctional. You can't disagree, because if you don't like Daniel Jones, why do we have him as the quarterback in the 6th year and maybe even in the 7th year? That has nothing to do with Daniel Jones, right? Since everybody has agreed that Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. So it's a reflection of ownership, but we can't change ownership. So a lot of people act like they're scared to talk about John Mara, but that's the problem.
As a quarterback in the NFL, you're always going to wear the most blame for your team. But anybody saying that last night's loss should solely be based on Daniel Jones and some of the missed throws he had is sorely mistaken. Now, don't get it twisted. There is blame to be placed on Daniel Jones. This play will not show up on the highlights, but it's probably going to haunt me for the next 10 days. Giants get a free play. Watch. Free play. Free play. Throw the ball deep. At least he has the wherewithal to do it, right? Just don't underthrow a receiver who has a step or two on Trayvon Diggs. He's open. DJ, get him the ball. This is a touchdown. He severely underthrows him. But the reality is, this guy moved really well in the pocket, was stepping up, making tight window throws all night long, at least in the short and intermediate game. He was putting the ball where it needed to be. The Giants wide receivers also had 4 crucial drops last night, 2 huge ones in the 4th quarter. Darius Slayton, 3rd down conversion to get him in the red zone, nothing. Then on a 3rd and 6, Daniel Jones threads the needle to Wan'Dale Robinson, but can't hold on. Are we going to talk about the 4th and goal from the 3 that the Giants elected to kick a field goal on instead of going for it? And I know hindsight's 2020, but look, I get it. Anybody who's watched the Giants over the past couple years, Daniel Jones has been the biggest issue, but to watch last night and say it solely falls on him is not fair to what he did.
The second content creator had a great breakdown too. He was a little bit more nicer to Daniel Jones, but he did say that if you watch the Giants over the last few years, Daniel Jones has been the main problem. I disagree, because what you're saying is that the teams are allowed to be bad everywhere else, but if you're okay at quarterback or even bad at quarterback because the team isn't good anywhere else, it's the quarterback's fault. But now when you go and you look at Bryce Young, we thought Bryce Young was going to be a good quarterback. So y'all got to explain that Bryce Young situation. Bryce Young came into the league as a better prospect than Daniel Jones and obviously dealt with the same issue. But because they have a different ownership, you don't get Bryce Young for 6 years. So, a lot of people get upset with Daniel Jones for not being Josh Allen, but he was never going to be Josh Allen. You knew where you drafted Daniel Jones from. You knew that when you went from having a coach that was offensive minded to Joe Judge, who just wasn't a good coach, that was not going to be good for your quarterback. But what's weird is they actually like Joe Judge, but in my opinion, he was not a good fit for Daniel Jones. If you're trying to groom your quarterback from Duke, that was a terrible hiring. It was just as bad as Urban Meyer for Trevor Lawrence, who actually looks worse than Daniel Jones. There are actually quarterbacks that people will take over Daniel Jones that are worse than Daniel Jones. People are taking Watson over Daniel Jones. Watson's worse than Daniel Jones. AR is worse than Daniel Jones. AR will throw the ball down the field, but statistically, he is worse than Daniel Jones. Caleb Williams does not look that great. So, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are also stinking it up, but because the Giants are 1-3 instead of 3-1, we're just going to focus on Daniel Jones, the thing that has been the most consistent piece for the New York Giants because of ownership. Guys, you don't get the quarterback that you don't like for 6 years if the owner's not in on it. That's the big dog. John Mara is the guy that's okay with Daniel Jones being the QB1. So to wrap up the title of this video, that Daniel Jones doesn't suck, he doesn't suck, he's mid. If you look at it this way, right? He's always compared to Josh Allen. One of his former receivers that played with him and Josh Allen said he's very accurate. But where is he accurate? It has to be not in the deep ball, right? Because he hasn't been accurate in the deep ball for 2 years. But that wide receiver did play with him when he was accurate with the deep ball in 2022. So Josh Allen, longest throw this year is 33 yards. DJ's longest throw this year is 39 yards. Obviously, Josh Allen's a superior quarterback. But at the end of the day, the reason why Daniel Jones is getting the hate is not just because he's missing on the deep ball. It's because the Giants aren't executing in the red zone. That is not strictly on Daniel Jones. People just don't like Daniel Jones because he's mid. You have a quarterback who If he wasn't mid and he was actually good, then yes, he'd be able to cover up the stink of the New York Giants. I find it weird that we have people who are even Giants fans or content creators that are pretending like this team would be contenders with a new quarterback and a CB1. No, you're not a cornerback and a quarterback away from being contenders. Maybe pretenders. Yes, obviously, if you get a better quarterback, the team would be in a better position because that quarterback would be able to cover up the stink of the New York Giants. But it's not just Daniel Jones that's not playing up to par. And when I say not playing up to par, I'm not saying he's playing bad, because he's not playing bad. And our coach even says he's not playing bad. And it's not because he has to say it. It's because he's not playing bad. He's just mid. He's just not Josh Allen. He's just not even Sam Darnold, who's having a great year this year. So it is what it is. I mean, you guys can get mad at Daniel Jones all you want, but as long as John Mara is fine with him being a QB1, you could see this guy in year 7. But on a more positive note for the guys that still believe in Daniel Jones, how different would this conversation be if Daniel Jones threw that pass to Wan'Dale? I don't think he did anything wrong on that pass, and Wan'Dale ran it in for a touchdown. It would be a different conversation. We'd be saying the Giants finally beat the Dallas Cowboys, assuming that, we didn't let up another touchdown like the CeeDee Lamb one. I mean, even just not having that CeeDee Lamb touchdown changes the game outcome probably, because that was bad on Deonte Banks, who is not a cornerback one, and our safety who slipped and fell, but he's a rookie. But those are game-changing situations that affected the game negatively, just as bad as Daniel Jones missing on the deep ball throws. But those are conversations we don't have because we don't like Daniel Jones. That's it.
One thing that I have noticed about Daniel Jones is in these moments where it really matters, where everybody is watching, where it's all eyes on you. Show out, dude. Go have your day. He doesn't come through. He misses wide open Darius Slayton's down the sidelines. A lot of this was not, he didn't lose because of him, but there are moments when you have to elevate.
Yeah.
When the world, sports world, or your teammates, or your fan base, or your coaching staff is just waiting for you to be that star. And you don't get those opportunities all the time. But if you don't take advantage of them, trust me, they're not going to come. Because you're not going to be the guy. They're going to understand that. And my issue with Daniel Jones is I don't think he's that guy. There is something that Daniel doesn't have, and I hate it because I love the kid. And I want him to be that guy, but it's just not there.